on mute.
Public Works Building Committee meeting, January. Wow. June 9th, 5 o'clock. We have the minutes from May 12th.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm abstaining. I wasn't here, so.
That went so well.
Wow, that's kind of harsh. That's too much. Construction progress. What do we got, Scott?
Well, we're getting towards the end. We had a good month of May. I would say the main push and focus was getting the building, far enough along with finishes and kind of punching out the space, like free punch before furniture. We had our main furniture move in WB Mason in the admin area, including the shelving, the first round of shelving. For the storage rooms, we just have one other storage shelving order from WB Mason that will be for the water department. That will be coming this month. So, there was just obviously there was an effort with the green building planning to be taken down. You can see that started. We had to do some provisions to make that happen. So, one of the things that happened was we found out that the fire alarm system in the existing admin building was tied into the green building, and the fire department wanted to have a separate panel put over there to admin. So we had flight alarm come in and put that in. Josh had the infrastructure fiber brought in.
Yep, contract.
Brought in fiber, and they have they got the network up and running in the new building. That was needed in order to get the fuel island, or the fuel depot
Correct.
put back online. It was offline for a few days while they made the splices and stuff like that. But overall, the building's looking really good. There's still some more punch lists to do. There's still some little bit more furniture punch lists and furniture to set up, as I said.
So a couple of things that we hit over the past month. We did the inspections. I had a fire alarm test, sprinkler. Those all passed. All those systems are now live in the building. To Scott's point about the fuel depot, there was some coordination and juggling to get that.
Power is a good thing.
Yes. We also I had Kaploff was out there for some window testing. Nemo was out there as well. They're scheduled to come back. We had the fire department do a couple different walkthroughs actually. I only caught them for one. The lift was delivered. Obviously, like I said, that multiple phase coordination for the teardown. We had to get the asbestos paperwork from the GC. Furniture's been delivered. Contract has that fiber all installed up in an IT room. We finished on the 27th, I believe it was. We finished the HKA punch list, which was just inside of the enclosed admin space. So there was a whole bunch of stuff that we had, kind of like miscellaneous stuff from glass visions to partitions to enunciator panels that had been missing, to some touch-up paint, just stuff that I had on the general deficiency log. Other than that, Soaktown's finally gone. All the roof canopies are complete. And we did all that electrical work and subgrade trenching over at the fuel depot. And we went over the wreck as well last week. So that's what we hit.
You want to just go over and look ahead schedule?
Yeah, we can do that. I have for the next couple of weeks. Do you want to scroll down to? Oh, there you are. Obviously, the green building began today, this morning. The demo of that. Apple off, it will be coming out here tomorrow. On Wednesday, either Wednesday or Thursday, we're gonna have Frontline come in to do the vehicle maintenance, cleaning over in the bay there where all the equipment and the lift is and stuff. So they'll do about 7 days worth of work there. I asked them if it was a business week. They told me they probably need about 7 days to do everything. So I have a week for them. My trailer and Pete's trailer will be gone the following week. We'll leave Monday or Tuesday. Lappin will be out here to do the welding of the curtain, the welding curtain. There'll be another punch list that Greg and myself will put together over the next week or two. That will also probably come to a head during the week of the 23rd or 25th. The window mats should arrive. Those are the ones that are on back order. Bruce, we talked about those. The acoustical partitions, so to speak, that go in between your office and the other one there, so for conversation purposes. And the culvert, so Pompeo will be mobilizing to do the clean out. I don't have this written down, but tomorrow I have Andrea Stiller coming out to LSP just to take a look at some of the foundation debris and or material and just chat with me about the soils and stuff going forward. That's the look ahead for the next upcoming weeks, 2.5 or 3 weeks.
So it should be pretty close, by the end of the month, I would think. Some of it's gonna spill into July, but I would think we'll be pretty close by the end of the month. They're still saying substantial completion by the
7/31.
The 15th, around the 15th of July, and then final completion by the end of July. So we should be able to do the move in the beginning of August, if that still works. If not sooner, if you'd like, if that works out that way, but still targeting that same date. Just the schedule. Overall, the budget, we're 81% complete. We're still a little bit behind on HKA's billing. This is updated through change order number 7, which was just approved last week. And this has, I was able to get some of these invoices that I'm presenting today in here. Some of them aren't in here yet. So the number is slightly off. But it's pretty close. And obviously we're in good shape with contingency, even with the change order for $44,565. That was for these 4 PCOs here, replacement of the light bulb bays. What was this one, Tom?
That's the taps for the water fills at the sinks.
Okay. The chain hoist and the security system modification, which this was sort of some additional networking stuff that we decided to it'd be easier to go through the GC, and there's some basically network switches and UPSs and some minor other electrical
Tags and stuff. They did a bunch of labels and tags and all that stuff from when the electrical inspector came out. He had some worries about the corrosion on those pipes, but that was all settled.
You can see here we're good shape on owner's contingency, and no safety issues, or just on the QA QC construction testing. Tom mentioned window testing. As we said, we did start that. We had one issue on one of the windows, so they've gone back and fixed that. They identified the issue. So we'll retest that, move on to another one, make sure we don't see the same issues.
That one's actually already been retested, recaulked. I was there when they took the paint out. I was with Chris Kingsbury, the guy from Capital Off. He had his installer caulk it. It's all set. The testing that they'll be doing tomorrow or on the 11th will be another window. So just onward and upward in that regard.
Just on potential issues. We do have a proposal request in to add additional outlet for the tire changer. Don't have that price back yet, and I put a note here. I don't know if this has gone away or if this is still an item, but there was discussions about maybe putting caster wheels on the chairs in the lunchroom or the break room area. Is that still?
Yeah, I talked to, was it Chris from?
Patella?
Yeah, he said he was going to bring him down. He said it was no big deal. The chairs are made so you can just put them on the bottom.
Right, we just wanted to talk about it here tonight.
Yeah.
It's $200 a chair.
He has
How much is it?
$200 a chair?
For the wheels?
For the casters.
That's ridiculous.
I like them the way they are.
For $200.
If it's $200 a chair.
Let me follow up with Chris and
Yeah.
see, because if he told you it's not a big deal, let me see if we can work kind of.
He made it sound like it was.
Yeah.
You can buy them at Home Depot for $5.
We let me
Yeah.
talk to him and see what
Because
we can
when
do.
we were up there looking at the chairs,
You must be talking about chairs, not
We-
wheels.
we said we wanted the wheels on them, and then they came in with no wheels. And as soon as I slid one across the floor, I'm like,
Oh,
pretty sure we
excuse
wanted
me.
wheels on these.
I am referring to wheels on Sheldon, so I missed
Ah.
Okay.
I might
Sorry.
buy that one.
Yeah.
which we voted no on.
Yes.
Yes, all right. Save $3,800.
Yeah.
I
So
might have bought that one.
so we'll follow up with that.
Yeah.
And
I think he said
If
he was
there's-
just going to bring a box of them.
if there's
I
no
think
charge
that's
or it's like
something wrong.
negligible, then
Yeah.
we'll move it through. If it's a bigger deal, we'll run it through the committee just to make sure that everyone's on the same page on that. And just to kind of a little more discussion on FF&E. So we have another shelving order for $13,699. That's going to take care of. That should
Water
take care of the
sewer.
rest of the shelving needed for the building. That's more focused in the water area. Josh has been sending me some items that he's bought, only a couple things so far, so we have a decent budget left over there that I anticipate there'll be some purchasing for some potentially computers and peripherals, some monitors, screens, TVs, things like that to fit out the areas. And like I said, the network is up and running, so I'm not sure how much more like network stuff's needed. I know we have to. I haven't seen the order yet for wireless access points. That'll be something that he'll order. All the drops are in already. And then on the equipment, we have some invoices here for some items that were ordered, and we have a few other things in the works. One of those is the welding equipment and the plasma cutter. Also, we talked about it last month, and there's been some emails back and forth about the forklift. I don't know if, Bruce, you want to talk about any of those items?
Yeah, we can talk about the forklift now. Like, so at a previous meeting we talked about the forklift. We're like, the committee was like, yes, we need a forklift. Let's get one. If the price between a new forklift and a used forklift was within $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, maybe it was worth just getting a newer forklift. Well, that wasn't the case. New forklifts are $42,000, and refurbished forklifts are 4 to 5 years old, 4,000, 5,000 hours on them, completely refurbished. I got several quotes here. The best quote was for a machine that's 5 years old, that is completely refurbished, has I guess the thing that you got to watch out for when you're looking at used, when you're pricing out used forklift electrical ones, that you're getting new batteries, not used batteries, because a new battery on a used forklift could be $6,000 or $7,000.
5,000, yeah. Well, it was
So-
5,000 when I ran the
So a
warehouse.
refurbished one's a big difference. So the ones I'm looking at, new batteries, new chargers, and new tires, new hoses, paint, and they have warranties. And so I have several different prices. The one that I actually thought will be just fine, and I know I sent it out late today, but was a unit for $13,900. 2020 Toyota, which is one of the top brands, 4,000 pound capacity. It was more than we need actually. 187-inch height, so that gets us plenty of height to get up to that 14'3" that we need. A 48-volt new battery, a new single-phase charging unit, new tires, painted, looks pretty. For $13,900, and I think, for the amount, it's a needed machine, but for the amount that it's not going to be, it's going to be in the corner, be on the charger, unless we need to put something upstairs or move something right around in the garage, which would be great because we won't have a front end loader in there. And I'm looking for the committee to agree to $13,900 based on availability, because they are single units. So like he has 4 of them for $13,900. He has that one machine. Yeah, they got this quote let's see, $29,000. So
How old is this machine, Bruce?
it's 2020. I have other quotes here I have another 2020 different brand Heister with 4,000 miles, 36 volt charger, lift height is correct, capacity 4,000 pounds, 26,900. Have another one.
It's a used car, so they're gonna vary.
Yeah. 2020 Yale brand, 4,000 pound, a little higher height lift, which we don't need. 36 volt reconditioned battery.
No.
New tires, new paint and decals, 21,900.
Yeah, don't do that.
Rick's got a question.
So I just wanted to follow up from our last month's meeting. I think the last month, the consensus was to buy a new one, only because of the warranty issue, right? You're saying the one you are recommending has a warranty. How long is the warranty good for? This isn't something that's going to have a lot of use. I think
Right.
the warranty is not really going to come into play because the thing's
Not
going to
for a
sit.
couple of years.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to sit more than it's going to do anything.
Penny, Bruce, do you know what that, the machine that they're offering for $13,900, do you know what it's sold new for?
I do not.
Do you have the model number?
Yep.
I think the name of the company that we got our machine from was on Route 1
So the other question I had was related to the email that was sent by
a long time ago.
Mary Beth about procurement. Is there an issue with buying something used in complying with procurement laws?
Well, there is. So I questioned that through Kathy Keefe. She's a procurement officer, and she sent an email to the state procurement office to question it, and they came back with you have to, just because it's used, you have to compare apples to apples as best you can. So year to year, similar hours, similar weight capacity, lifts capacity. So that's what all these are. They're similar years, similar hours.
That's the trouble with contemplate buying used.
I was talking to Scott about this earlier. You made a good point. At $13,900, you get the warranty. You do have a warranty, but even if you only got 8 years out of the vehicle, at $13,900 you buy another one, you're still ahead of the game.
Good luck
Buying a
getting the money 8 years from
43,000.
now.
Good luck getting
Money
the
budget.
weeks.
But I'm thinking you're going to get a lot more than that, because it's not like it's in a warehouse and somebody jumps on it at 7 a.m. and he doesn't get off until 4 a.m. in the afternoon. It's going to get limited usage. It's really not going to go outside the building.
Right. In my opinion, I think the due diligence is done. I think he's done a good job comparing, and I would make a motion for a recommendation to defer to Bruce for the selections, because this isn't something that can wait much longer. You're gonna want one, and it's gonna be gone next week, right? These things get sold.
Yeah, I asked the guy. I asked 2 different guys to hold them.
Oh, good.
One
Yeah, but
guy's
they're not gonna-
be happy at me.
The only other thing to unless there's a really good market for it, it's not gonna be a problem for them.
Frank, I do have that model number if you'd like to just
Yeah, what is
Google
it?
it real quick or something. It's 8FBEU20.
Crown. That's the end.
8FBEU20.
8FBE U20.
Correct.
So the only other thing I can think you could consider is once you buy this and you use it to store items up in the mezzanine, and then let's say it broke down to the point where it's non-repairable and you were going to have to buy another one in order to get whatever you want upstairs back down.
What? Mean you have another one upstairs?
No, he's saying if it breaks down, what are you gonna do with what's up there?
You know, you can't get it down without having another one.
You could sell
Call
a
the fire
chain fall. I
department.
don't think that's
Yeah.
beyond the capability of
Did
the.
you get any quotes
Thank
from
you.
Crown?
What's that?
Did you get any quotes from the company Crown?
No.
Because that's where I bought all mine. They're on Route 1 in Norwich.
Is Alta Material Handling, Ocean State Forklifts,
Brody Toyota, they sold Toyota ones.
United Lift Equipment,
I don't even know if Crown's still available. around.
Midwestern Equipment.
Are they?
So I guess we have a motion to defer.
Unless Frank wants more time to do some research, I do have a couple of unrelated questions if you want to let him do that.
Are you Googling?
Yeah,
You want to table this issue and go to other things?
yeah, we'll come back.
Yeah, we could. That's right. We can table the motion.
All right.
Was there anything in the
Yeah, for Scott, for the fire alarm monitoring. The last email I was copied on was June 2nd.
Yeah.
And this is about the proprietary issue about the fire alarm monitoring. Has there been any other movement? Is Josh still digging in his heels that he doesn't want this system? And what is the electrician saying?
Well, the last thing, Greg sent an email asking asking Josh and others on the email if he wanted to, like if there was a
1990.
consensus to get a price to swap it out to like a proprietary, system that, meaning like a system that Josh wants, proprietary, like put in this panel, this is the one flight alarm, and this is the one in there and stuff like that.
I know Josh wants everything to match in the town, right? I understand that. In my view, the system that they have chosen, I think because there are 9 vendors, that in my mind is not proprietary. I know in Josh's mind it is, but I can see where the standoff is with Josh, is he wants the ones that are in all the other buildings. But here's my issue with technology. We're looking at where we are now with change orders, right? We have 2 change orders related to technology, and they total almost $90,000. It's the single most expensive change order in this entire building, and it's not done yet as far as the information we just got tonight, right? He's still buying things that he thinks he needs, right? For technology. So, change order number 6 was $62,852. That was PCO 6. PCO 7, we added another $26,553. Like I said, that's a lot of money in just technology. I mean, it's
So we had 95,000 in technology, communications and technology in the FF&E budget. So realistically, some of that money could get reduced to go to contingency to cover it or something like that.
okay. I didn't realize we had $90,000 in contingency.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, in FF&E, we had like $225,000 in furnitures and equipment, and then we had 95,000 in technology related stuff.
right?
So we
So
don't
you're
use
saying-
But that's going to pay for the things. Sorry,
Yeah.
you mentioned that he still needs to buy.
He thinks he needs to buy.
Well, the wireless stuff and the
Yeah.
TVs and the monitors.
2022.
That we still have some budget. You're saying there's $90,000 in just change orders. that's just added scope.
Right.
So there's still a $90,000 increase to the contract to Rick's point.
And the meter's running. All I'm
It
saying
could be
is
growing.
this is something that the committee should be a little mindful about, I guess. You know.
Why they're whoop-
I also know that Honeywell
why they're
is
selling
like,
them.
Honeywell can be serviced by more than one company. It's a Honeywell panel we have in the building, so
The way that what I thought was, the way I understood it was that the universal control panel it's not in yet, it's not available, but it will be in the next coming months, and we were told, I got a commitment that we were just reconfirming all this, but that it will be installed by American Electrical at a later date, and that module, between putting that in and reprogramming that fire alarm panel, flight alarm could take over in the future if you want. Right now we got Minuteman for the next year, and the yearly cost is like $600. So
$650.
Huh?
I think it's like $650, right?
I thought it was 600, and the difference between flight alarm and Minuteman was $120 a year difference in monitoring costs.
Right. But this servicing, I think, is where Josh was concerned.
Yeah.
If in fact you need to do some servicing, the billable hours.
If you have to reprogram, or you have to map anything,
Yep.
we don't have the ability to do that, and apparently unless you're certified by Honeywell, you don't. And I forget
But John Flight
what he said the cost per hour for that
Yeah,
was.
that's where he was concerned about.
$195 an hour.
For billable
Well,
hours.
2 hour minimum. Was it 5?
5 hour minimum.
But
What were you saying, Scott?
I thought, well, one of the emails I read was from John Flight. He said that they currently service, unless maybe I'm speaking just on, maybe he said he only monitors, but I thought he said he services
He
other
monitors.
Honeywell and
I asked about that.
Fire.
He has no intention of seeking certification from Honeywell.
So there's a potential for additional costs there, I guess, you know.
Well,
if these modifications or
the-
things are
reality-
needed, we can monitor it.
exactly. The reality is if there's how much cost to change?
we don't have that number yet. I mean,
It's not
I don't think the payoff at
You'd
this
have to
point-
look at what it's gonna cost us to switch to another panel.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Versus what it would cost if
If we needed
we
it.
need that service.
You got potential versus
I mean, I
actual.
went through that in this building with the Carter system, what was his name? Edwards. It was a freaking nightmare. They wired the building and they didn't have wrapped cables. They were wires that were dragged through metal conduits like the ones on the wall.
And they were all shredded.
And every 2 days, something would arc. And I mean, I had them in here probably 8 times in 2 months.
That's a nightmare.
And I just threw my hands up and said, you know what? We're going to hire somebody and we're just going to rerun the wires. And that's what we did. But during that time, we were paying them at, I think the rate was $150 an hour. It was a nightmare, and you couldn't get anyone.
Right. So I guess from Josh's perspective, if in fact that this is a proprietary system, then they're not in compliance with the bid documents. And
Well,
we
it
don't
all
pay
depends. It all depends on what we said. I believe the words used were open architecture,
Right.
and if that's the words that we used, it is. It's open.
Right.
Right. Open to anybody,
Yeah.
not the 9 vendors that are specific.
No. It's open in the sense that it can be reprogrammed. It was a really poor choice of words for what we wanted. What we should have, and I'd say it's 100%. What we should have specified, rather than using a phrase like open architecture, is what we intended to do, which is to provide general access to the programming and support of the system, which we didn't say.
Right.
And I talked to Josh this afternoon, and I said, why should we suffer? Let him talk to Greg. So I suggested Josh call Greg and go through this with him and then get back to us tomorrow.
But Greg's position typically favors the general contractor or the subcontractor, not the town.
Yeah.
So his mind is already made
But
up.
the issue is, what did we specify, and did they meet the contract specifications? If they met the bid specifications, we don't have an argument.
Right. I guess we'll just have to wait and see then, right? We're still waiting for more information, a determination.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's been
But
No
I'd say
more
that-
emails have came since the second.
continuous back and forth, so we've been monitoring it. We also have, I mean, we need to look at the language a little bit closer and see, what we have to hang our hat on. You know what I mean? If we're gonna say it doesn't meet, you know what I mean? If we think it's non-conforming, then we'll hang our hat on that. But
That might
it's
also
kind of
have,
a gray area right now.
And I believe if it is non-conforming, Tony will accept that. I do think he'll accept
depending
it.
on what
If we can demonstrate that there's a clear,
It's difficult because the specs actually call out notifier that N16 system.
well, then we're screwed.
Yeah, it says right in there. And then it says, or the other system that
Or
Josh has
comparable.
somewhere else, I forget the name of it, and maybe another one. And unfortunately, those other maybe two that were equal
Oh, we're
would
gonna
have
have
been a
to,
better fit for what
we're gonna have to look at those.
Yeah.
But it says
Calls
Well,
out.
Yeah, but then it
This is
goes
file
on to
subject
say,
too,
and
right?
it has to,
Yeah.
it has to have
Yeah, you're
open
screwed.
architecture and allow
File
for X, Y, Z. And Josh is pretty adamant that
Pages.
some of those considerations aren't being met, basically.
Part of the problem is it took a long time for the tech people to look at the specs and the bid, long after they went out. I remember when we started down this road and we prepared a set of plans, we sent it over to Josh. He told us he'd take a week to look at it,
Oh, yeah.
and we didn't hear from him for 2 months.
I was gonna ask, was there
I'm
some?
not faulting him, I'm just saying that's the reality of what happened. So we went out and bid based on what we had. If we don't have feedback, this is what we're bidding on.
Right.
there's also a worry for me on the back end, if you do switch off the panel system, how that's gonna affect the fire alarm. Like the actual testing of the fire alarm and how, if that.
Oh, absolutely.
if that would
Have to redo it all.
involve
Have to redo it all.
Fire coming back out. and
We'd have to bring them back out to
You know,
test
that's
the
just
nuisance.
just a secondary thought.
Hey, that's just an $800.
I think we got to look into the spec and whether we got what we're supposed to get. But switching out a panel versus dealing with potential costs of some reprogramming or something that might be needed.
It's probably not just
It would
the
take you
panel.
years.
Right, that's
recoup.
the issue, that's what I'm saying.
Even that if it happens, like if we can monitor it
For the program?
and this box that they're going to add, that's a couple months away. Is that an added cost?
It shouldn't be.
You know,
Our
So that's
expectation
part of it.
Is no, that it's included,
All right.
and we'll get that.
So
If
we're
we were
able to
having-
monitor it, and our vendor's able to
Right.
monitor it, and the chance of having to reprogram things, we're not going to be adding devices.
Yeah, you
I mean, the
shouldn't
building's
be,
set. It's not like we're going
yeah.
to, we're going to go,
Construction.
finish it out and fit out the back half, and
Right.
you know what I mean. It is what it is. So
Right.
I mean, the salt shed's insured, if it burns, we're ahead of the
let
game.
it burn.
Was there submittals on this? I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
If they're approved, that's also not in our favor.
But that's the thing, this is 11th hour look back,
Yeah.
and we really can't do that. We've done that throughout the project.
Well, that's why we're at $90,000 with
Yeah.
this line item.
And I think, Scott, it's gonna be on your shoulders, or on CMS's shoulders, to look at the specs
Yep.
and
No, I
determine
agree.
what we asked for. If we wanted something comparable to, what is it, Silent Night, then it should have been in the
Silent Night,
specs. And if they were reviewed and discussed, it might have been. No, I'm not second questioning how much time people have available to look at things. But we're a train moving down the road. And just because somebody doesn't get back to us, we can't say, oh, well, hold that.
So the one other thing that I was going to ask about was smoke sealing. Do we have any update on that? It was part of the deficiency report that there was additional smoke sealing that still needed to be done. Is that true?
Did they punch that out yet, or?
Are you talking about the 2 cores that we talked about on our last walk?
Yeah, the deficiency report says that they were going to review the bid documents to see if additional smoke sealing was necessary because they were concerned about penetrations through the walls.
Yeah, but as you saw, all the penetrations have been filled. So I'll have to take a look at the deficiency log.
Yeah, well, we could just ask the
Yeah,
guy who
I
wrote it.
can't recall.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
anywhere that it's not.
rated walls have to get labeled, smoke sealed,
When we're ready,
smoke walls
I'm ready to
don't. If
talk
he's saying
about
that
that.
they already sealed them all up, then they probably got them all, but the engineers should be following that deficiency log too, and when they come out to do their back punch, they should be signing off on that. So the final construction control affidavits should
Yeah,
close
actually,
all that stuff out.
yeah. Pete and I were working on those last week, getting those affidavits from like the plumber.
I
and
didn't see the
everyone.
hours on 22.
It's just that all the ceilings are there. It's not the time to be doing smoke sealing or fire stuff, at this point. But we want to make sure the building is in compliance. That's all.
But fire stopping, I don't have anything in the drawings. There's nothing in the drawings that show fire stopping.
Smoke sealing. No.
There is something that calls for smoke sealing. There's a difference between that and a demising wall that
Sure.
has fire stopping. As we've gone over for 16 months, I don't have those in my drawings. There's nothing in the specs for them.
Well, just where you had like a rated.
A rated wall, isn't
That's
it? All
all
the penetrations need to be
like,
fire
like
rated.
the mechanical room.
That's all done.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
That's all.
That's in the drawings though, that's just.
Right. That's all conformed. I don't have anything else for.
I was just surprised to see it in the deficiency report this late in the game, that's all. So if we're followed up, we're followed up. Thank you.
I think it's old business that they didn't close out yet in there. But we'll get that closed out this week, we'll check, make sure if we have to get above the ceiling or pump some tiles and double check that.
You want to go back and talk about a forklift?
Yes, thank you. Bruce,
I have a couple of questions.
the model we're looking at is a 2020,
Yes.
and where is it located?
What state is it in?
Yeah,
That one's in Massachusetts, Ocean
Okay.
State.
I'm just curious because there's a cost associated with getting it here. And some of these things are all over the,
No, good point.
No, this one's in, Ocean State forklift is in like,
Taunton?
yeah, something like
as
that.
long as it's our Ocean State,
Rhode
not
Island.
Maryland.
Yeah. Yo, when I first, I assumed it was Rhode Island, but it's not even.
It's not.
All right. I did a quick survey on the web on the model 8FBEU20. And I'll just rattle these off. 2018, 5,856 hours, 14.9. 2018, 5,875 hours, 17.8. Must be in better shape than the other one. 22, 6,800 hours, 19,000. 22 hours unknown, 17.5, and a 23 for 29.5. I guess the biggest question in my mind that we're not going to answer tonight is why are all these things up for sale?
I got a question.
a lot of them.
Now, you're quoting prices. Are they riders or walkers?
The-
You have forklifts that you
Oh,
you
this
can
is
walk
not-
by it and
No,
it
no,
looks up.
Dan.
Yeah.
This is a riding lift.
Yeah.
Right.
That goes
Well,
up.
there
So
are
that
walk-
model though.
There are walkers.
We're using
too.
the model
Like
number.
Home Depot. has
Yeah,
it.
all right,
We're
they're all
using the model
walkers.
number.
And I have probably 6 or 7 quotes for new machines. I didn't bring them because
Yeah.
I just thought,
I mean, the difference between 42,000 and 13.9 is an interesting number. It's not something we should blink at.
Yeah.
Can you get a history of the service on the machine?
And a warranty.
I assume so.
Ask them.
Yeah.
Ask them for service history, and if it's acceptable, then we'll move forward.
Okay.
And I think a little more defined, like what is warranted.
Yeah.
You know, batteries,
Good
you know,
question. Yeah.
hoses. You know, is it a year on batteries, 6 months on this, 2 years on that? You know what I mean? It should be able to Or is
The only thing I see as a problem is we
I
don't
know,
meet for a
that's
whole
what I'm
month.
saying,
The
we'll do
building
it
is
at the
gonna
building
be
level.
Yeah.
occupied by the time we make this decision.
And that would be sold.
This-
So I would say,
This
I
is
would
what the
amend my
potential
motion to ensure that Bruce does the due diligence.
And bring it
But that's
to
the
the
result.
weekly
The sub-
committee,
It's a
the
walk-
subcommittee. Okay. All right, I'll
Second that.
second that motion.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a 60-month prorated manufacturer warranty on the battery when you have to get one with the new battery. 120 days on the entire unit, which isn't very much,
No.
but I mean,
No.
Nothing is just as good as that.
yeah. But I mean, really, with the new tires, new hoses, new battery, and new charger,
That's the key components.
yeah,
Yeah.
the rest is.
But if there's a service history on it, we would do well to get,
I'll look into
Yeah,
it.
just to see it. Yeah. Or even
that
what they
information.
refurbished, just even recently. You know,
or what the unit required for service over time, because they keep those records.
so we have a motion and a second to do what?
To have Bruce get that additional information and then leave it to the subcommittee to determine to move forward.
Right. So I'm not waiting until. the
No,
next
we're
meeting
not.
to make
No,
it. So-
no, we can't
Right.
because you'll have another whole 4 different ones.
Right, that'll be sold.
I mean, it sounds like a great price.
If you can do that
So-
by Wednesday, we can sign off on it.
All right. So we have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Nothing but forklifts.
By the way, is anybody trained to run it?
Yeah, we have, Brian's got his forklift place.
Okay.
He runs one every
We're
night.
gonna have to send a couple more people in just.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, he's in the garage and that's where it is, so that's definitely helpful. But, yeah, he runs one every night at Lowe's.
Doesn't cost that much anyway.
No.
Under $100 for a license.
I just had one thing I wanted to look into purchasing also is, and I asked Peter at Page to contact the company that installed the epoxy flooring to see what they recommended for like a machine to what, because we have a lot of area that's got epoxy flooring.
Cleaner.
And I think we could do some, if we bought a machine that was made to clean it, and,
Don't we still?
I gotta sit there with a cloth mop, and if we could get one, we have it in that, keep it in a closet and
We had a
we can clean the
combination.
floors around
I
it.
think Gravely makes one of those, right?
Yeah, and it just, because it's dimpled, like, I just wanna see what they recommend
Right.
to use on that type of
surface,
flooring,
yeah.
and then,
You
price them
obviously
out.
want something that'll
Employees to come in to clean.
treat it. I mean, epoxy's a pretty hard surface to damage, but you can damage it.
Yeah.
We had a machine here in the town hall that was designed to clean both carpets and tile floors.
Yeah,
Was it
I
a
don't know
rider
if-
or
I
was it a
don't-
walker?
No, it's a walker.
Yeah.
I don't know if we still have it.
'Cause, I mean, we looked in, I'm getting pricing on a cleaner, obviously,
Right.
when the building's open, and I think we're gonna, because of the prices, I think we're gonna look into like bi-weekly, have somebody come in and do the bathrooms but in between that, if we have our own machine and we wanna keep the floors
Sure.
clean, the lunchroom and everything else, in the hallway there, that's epoxy, I
Do you
think.
know what Fire's doing for their epoxy floor?
No,
They have an epoxy floor in the apparatus bay.
right,
Yeah.
So maybe check
Yeah.
with Chief
Small
Clancy
area.
tomorrow.
ask them. And the only other question, and I think we already covered it, but one of the things that Tom mentioned that the electrical inspector wasn't thrilled about was the handhole where they made the connection from the fuel depot and to turn to go to the new building, and it's the rating on it is like seems like it's plastic. It's a handle, and it's right where the trucks will literally run over it every time they go in and out, just by the location.
Well, that's a safety issue. We should address that.
Well, the rating on it, I don't have in front of me.
It's a tier 22,
Yeah.
and
It's a fiber reinforced,
Right.
Fiberglass box.
But this-
structural
Was it the
fiberglass.
polyfiber?
Box, yeah.
It's like 20. It was like 22,000 or something like that. And I'm like, geez, we're gonna have front end loaders. We're gonna have loaded sanders. That's kind of like seems like we're gonna be on the upper range of that weight, especially when it's one set of tires going over it. Just
Right.
it's only one set, so all the weight of one. 2 tires actually rolling over that on the rear axle. I just thought if there was another level besides going to a full like concrete vault. But if there was another level up, that might have still even been a steel handhold or a cast handhold or even just a heavier duty fiber like that we could go with. But they already had it on site. They hadn't installed it yet. I was just a little skeptical, that's all.
This is what we got from Greg. They can withstand a design load of 22,500 pounds and a test load of 33,750 pounds. And he brought up H20 rating because a lot of times you see structures and things
Yeah.
that are H20 rated. So
Does it have H20?
Seems like he's saying that tier 22 is
Tier 22 is
stronger,
a grade above tier 20. You don't want tier 20 if you got 25,000 pound trucks.
but
I've always heard H20. I've never heard
Yeah, me too.
H22.
Yeah.
I was gonna say in
So-
civil.
I mean, if it was
the
Like
thing is,
water,
heat
the
to
higher
the
the
right,
gauge, the lower
trucks
it
wouldn't
is.
even ever be hit.
H20 is a highway loaded.
It's, yeah, highway.
You know what I mean? That
Common DOT.
H20 would take the trucks, no problem. That's a highway loaded
Okay, that's what
casting
he's,
cover.
and he's saying that's what that is.
That's why I
I'm
don't
not sure.
know.
He's not clear.
we're waiting for the actual submittal on that.
Okay.
Because we haven't. This is what was in the spec. They didn't submit on the product, so
Okay.
it just showed up. They started putting it in. That's
Yeah.
when it came up.
Yep.
And
Well, they've been on site for like
yeah,
6 months, but they just, when they started doing that trenching over there, that's when they, for the electricians, they'll need them.
so we'll check what the exact product is and maybe have a higher rating or something. But if it meets tier 22, Greg is saying that the engineer and everybody else has said it's okay. Personally, I think Greg took this offline, but
Yeah, he called me on Friday.
Yeah, H20 is kind of what you always,
yeah.
any castings, covers, anything in roadway or sidewalk that has a potential is H20.
Yeah.
So
So it's not closed out yet. We're still kind of looking for some more information.
H20, take wheel loads up to 45,000.
yeah, that's what you're saying.
That's
Ron,
I'll tell you what
more what we're thinking.
the misnomer.
So I think, even though the number's higher, I don't think 22 means it's, I don't know what tier 22
I've
is.
just heard it. Question, Scott, and I know you said some of the systems are already up and running. What's the process with our facilities manager and I'll say even these two guys?
is that Todd?
Todd, like, I went through it Friday and there's stuff everywhere. How does it all work?
No training yet.
But there will be,
obviously
right?
There will be
There was a
training.
training on Friday.
Well,
That was generator.
there's been some small trainings, but preliminary stuff. But they owe us, videotape trainings.
All that.
Everything usually we'll make sure everything's commissioned first and signed off before we do the training, and then obviously we'll send out an invitation. Anybody that should be there, will be there, and then usually it's a couple hours worth of training. So sometimes you can get away with like an hour, and then they'll agree that they'll come back for a supplemental training. Sometimes that works out well, so you can get in there, get your hands on stuff, and then have some. It's like, for instance, that works well with like lighting controls. You know what I mean? Try to set it up how you want it. This particular building doesn't have crazy lighting controls, but if you did, try to set it the best you can, then move in, work with it, and then you can come back, do another training, and at that same time, that the trainer can make the additional tweaks to the system.
We did do, like Tom mentioned, we did generator training last week, Dave and I and the mechanic, because the generator's online, and that affects the fuel depot. So when it was good because we found out that if we do a switch over to generator now, even before even in the building, it will make a need to reset the fuel depot up in the room upstairs in the mezzanine, which we didn't know if there was it's like a 7-second delay before it goes to generator. We thought that it might not trip the fuel depot, but
Do
it
you know
does.
how much power the fuel depot pulls?
No.
Can we look into putting a UPS in that? I mean, that would be a solution, and maybe a 2500 embed it in there, then you don't have that problem, because as soon as it senses the power's going down, it kicks over the battery and then comes back. Then you don't have to shut down. I'll mention it to Josh tomorrow. Piers, fuel leaks.
Yeah, what else you got, Scott?
Some pictures and some invoices. I'm just gonna scroll through and just let me know when if you want me to slow down.
Shiny equipment.
Yeah, it
Looks like that robot Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Museum of Science.
It jumps.
You're gonna walk away.
Yeah.
Walks around the garage.
Why is Doug flooded, make it right away. Did that, yeah.
This is the best picture, Dan.
Furniture guys.
Conference room,
This-
basement,
Yeah, I got a picture of it too.
banner, still a big
Actually, I put on Facebook a
one
video.
from the manifolds, furniture delivery, shelving set up, cap lofts, window testing up in the mezzanine. This is the Minuteman monitoring station. This is the reconfigured ITMDF room after the changes that Josh requested. Same thing, a couple of these.
Oh, we unhooked the ceiling.
The rack, you mean?
Yes.
The ladder rack.
I looked at that and I said,
No.
how can anyone attach this looking at that?
Common sense is,
Yeah, I said the same thing as soon as I saw it.
Honest.
It was right over the top of the cable string.
I mean,
so that's moves.
hello? And the little bolts right next to the air thing. Oh well.
It's fixed.
That's contract right there, pulling in
Fiber.
the fiber municipal.
Wow.
It's got a lot done recently.
Yeah.
I will say, my wife was one of the people who couldn't believe we were spending $20 million, and actually complimented the building
Who's that
today.
handsome guy? Go up.
I'm looking right at that thing.
The next one's Josh and the other kid.
Just curious, do you know if that room is on generator power, the BDF closet, the like CC backed up
MDF, yes.
MDF? Thank you.
The IT room or whatever.
IT closet, whatever you want to call it.
One or two different things.
Just curious, when the building is all done, right, when we settle it, how long, because I know that when we did the police station, remember we had issues with the air conditioning and all that because they put the wrong height in the.
Trust me, we'll have HVAC issues. That's
Right.
given.
But what I'm saying is,
Project.
how much time after we sign off on the building, because I imagine there's contingency funds there that we'll hold back in case there's an issue that we find.
Well, you know, the good news is we're doing it in the middle of the summer, so we're going to
Yeah.
test the system
Right,
July
better than we
31st.
did down the street.
yeah.
I think you'll know quickly.
I just don't want, we're all done, we sign off and all of a sudden, 6 months down the road, something's not
Well,
working.
I will tell you, when we had problems at the police station, I think it was Yankee was the vendor, had no problem coming out and working.
Right, yeah.
It didn't cost us anything to get them out there. And I expect that would be the same thing here. If we run into what appear to be either equipment issues or operational issues with it, I would expect that they would come out and address that, because they don't want us saying we had a terrible
They don't want to lose their
Right,
rating,
the
right?
decam eval.
Yeah, decam's your final.
So warranty will start from substantial completion, which will be like July 7th, 15th or so, say. So we'll come back and do like
Crank that baby up.
10-month warranty review.
Okay,
And then we'll put a whole list together. Hopefully there's nothing.
Yeah.
Whatever there is, Paige has to come out.
because there's a bunch of issues with the police station.
Yeah. They are doing balancing right now. So they're doing air balancing, water balancing, things like that. So
I thought the building isn't completely closed yet. No air balancing.
no, it's closed.
Yeah, they got the door in, the last remaining
okay.
exterior door in, I can't remember if it was Thursday.
Friday they were there. They're working on that Friday.
Yeah.
So they go around with a device, they stick it on the return and
Yeah,
Yeah, they were doing it all day today.
the
When that green building's all gone and all cleaned up, they're gonna repave it. Will we plan on doing any landscaping there?
There is
Just some landscaping on the front.
Yeah, just to kind of dress it up.
There's a small little island with a couple trees in it.
Yeah. Okay.
I just happened to be in there working, the guy.
Because the fence line will be way out near the street.
I don't have those up yet, but I'll.
Well, it has to, so nobody goes near it and fall on debris.
No, no,
Oh,
with a permanent fence.
permanent fence?
For landscaping where the trailers are, it's just seed.
Right, little seed. But there's some along the roadway, right? There are like a few trees.
I think
There's a little landscape
I think it's
island.
like a shrub bed or
Something
landscape
or
bed. I
just-
can't
small
really
amount.
recall exactly.
Well, DPW should do it. I mean, look what they did to the police station. In the town park.
So that's basically it for
Plant some
the
hibiscus, they grow 20.
for the update, and then we just have, I got a bunch of invoices, a couple of these, I got a couple that were a few days ago, and then I got a bunch of these today, so Joanne sent me a payment recommendation letter late Friday, I was out Friday, and, so I'll just run through these, and then I put them in an email earlier.
Today?
And then what we'll do is we'll just update the payment recommendation letter. Joanne will scan all these in, so that we'll have all the backup. So we had, one second, I'll pull up the first two. So we had the page invoice, requisition number 15 for $735,700.84. CMS invoice DPW number 16 for $20,000. Do you want to vote on those, and then I'll go to the next ones?
I'll make a motion to concur with CMS's recommendation for payment, $755,784.
I'll second that.
With the motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that takes care of those, and then we also had a flight alarm invoice number 10001410 for $1,500. That was for setting up the new panel in the existing admin wing when we lost the monitoring capability when we took the green building, cut the power to that. So that's the first one. We had 3 invoices from Lappin's Garage. We had invoice 87-176130 for $997. That was for a workbench. Invoice 87-176129 for $1,774. That was the drill press. Invoice 87-176128 for $1,265. That was for the heavy duty vice. We had the plumber, the Poolin Family Plumbing invoice 048WO for $2,241.44. That was the replacing the gas main, internal piping, and the new meter for the existing admin building.
And the animal control that included too.
Oh, they have the animal control too, yep, okay. And we also had, this was previously presented and approved, this particular invoice for the Palazzo McDonough tree service. That was $750, just a reminder. And then we had WB Mason invoice 254468-234 for $108,732. That was for all the furniture. And then we had for the shelving, the first order came. That was invoice 254494,700. That was $13,699.01. technology miscellaneous invoice from Amazon. One LG9-XD 1P-6F7R. That was $80.10. And then we had an invoice for some network equipment from Gov Connection. Invoice 764-85707 for $6,956.44. And then last one was for the Builder's Risk Extension from Renaissance Alliance Insurance Services. Invoice 486187. That was $5,671.
Motion to pay the bills.
It's actually Maya that we're paying.
Maya. Okay.
Second to the motion.
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion?
What's the total?
How many fingers you got?
Total it. But I will if you want me to calculate it out right now.
No,
Well, we voted them individually, so
Okay.
Yeah.
we collectively voted the individual bills. So Dan can give us an update next week.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
All right.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
So you'll send me
Yes.
a new letter and then
Yep.
a copy of all those
Yep.
invoices. Okay, great.
Try to get it out to you tomorrow.
That's fine. We'll go on next Tuesday's
That gets
agency.
like what, 15,000? What?
For which one?
Huh?
Food. Oh, it's in the email.
Want to talk to Katie?
Is there any new business?
I know it was 15. Yeah.
Nothing else?
We're still working on pricing for the welder and the plasma cutter. And so that'll be next month's meeting.
So we're just waiting for like a third quote, I think, on both of those. Do you want to? Does the committee want to vote on a not to exceed now on those, so we can get them ordered within the next month, or do you want us to take
What
those
range are we looking
the
at?
July committee meeting?
I don't know.
The
What's the
welder
lowest?
package was pending in a lower quote was around 21 and the plasma cutter was around 445, I'll say, to be safe.
So 30 grand plus or minus.
You want to move it to the subcommittee for
So
action?
just gonna,
I'll make a motion to put it to the subcommittee for action in the next 2 weeks.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
I don't think you can wait. The next meeting is the last meeting, isn't it?
Right.
Probably.
Yeah, right. Come on.
Yeah.
Every second.
Is there any other equipment, I'd say like that in the garage, if you guys think you missed something?
Just to close out, like, we'll have a
Garage door openers are all-
release.
Yeah, that's all part
That's all
of it.
part
Yeah.
of the,
Yeah,
I'm just saying things come
We're
up
getting
that
there.
get,
I thought we had one for
Hoses,
July and one
the-
for August.
right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll see what.
I'll keep them from spending too much.
Yes, but stuff
Get a Christmas.
they need,
Right?
that we're not gonna be able to order for like 10 years. At least.
And now,
So we're all-
Just a comment. I appreciate everyone's effort. Really, probably everyone on this board has done more than I have done, especially the subcommittee and kind of the day to day of the operations.
Never undervalue expertise.
The weekly meetings, all that stuff. I certainly appreciate the effort. I went by the building Friday and walked through, and they've come a long way in a few months. So
So it's cheap. What are you buying for dinner?
do it in the dedication, but certainly appreciate everyone's efforts. And I think it really the building's looking nice. And
Yeah, we've been moving along. It's been a good group. Few challenges, but we've managed to get through them.
What about
You still have to do a walkthrough, Mrs.
Yes. Back
Carter.
to discussion.
ribbon cutting.
I know you're not busy.
Yeah, there should be a ribbon cutting.
Yes.
we
Definitely should be a ribbon cutting.
DPW side, we're tossing around probably just after Labor Day.
Fall.
Just
Yeah.
if we're not going to move until August.
Yeah.
Summertime, wait till maybe people are back and, week after Labor Day or something.
Yeah.
Or,
All the kinks.
you know what I mean? Something like that. Give us a month to kind of get the place
moved in?
moved
Let the
in.
grass
and,
grow.
You know,
I think the meeting for the committee would be in order next month.
Yeah, what?
A dinner meeting for the
Dinner
committee.
meeting?
That's my budget. But that's what we're kind of just in-house kind of talking. If that time frame works.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no further business, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.